Hi lads and lasses, Modest Pelican here with Meme Field 5. If you enjoy this video, please become an ambulance driver and then only take the injured or sick patients you pick up to hospital if they subscribe to me first. If they are unconscious, then that's just too bad for them, I guess, as this really helps spread the good word of my channel. And Battlefield 5 is the most polarizing Battlefield game I've ever played. I actually just stole that exact sentence word for word from one of Westy's tweets, but what's he going to do, sue me? Nah, Westy's too much of a top bloke to sue little old Pelican. But he's right, you know, I don't think I've ever seen a game divide a community so drastically. It's important that we start at the beginning with Battlefield 5 and look at how it all kicked off 1 year ago, as it really shaped the perception of the game today. Do you remember the claw hand woman girl from the first trailer? Well, this is her now. Feel old yet? You might be thinking to yourself, boy oh boy, haven't there been enough videos talking about this? Well, that's what YouTube is all about. Recycling old content and trying to pass it off as fresh and new. Oh, and of course YouTube is also about making sure thick booties are on most of your thumbnails. Or maybe that one is just me. Anyway, let's put on our alpha nerd hats and analyze the path this game has taken, and don't worry, it has a happy and optimistic ending. So for a second, let's imagine that you had a beautiful, smart, thick woman coming over to your house for dinner. So you spend hours cooking her a delicious feast, and then she comes around and you let her in, but before she has even sat down, you throw a jar of spiders on her face. They don't bite her, but you know, no one likes having loads of motherfucking spiders thrown at their face, do they? And then you just say, okay, great, let's eat some dinner. It doesn't matter how good the dinner you cooked is, the only thing that matters to that girl is the fact that you threw some spiders at her face. This is kind of what happened with the marketing campaign for Battlefield 5. Many players felt like they'd been turkey slapped in the jaw before they had even played the game, and they already hated it. I personally didn't really care about the marketing, as my focus is always on that juicy gameplay, but the way DICE and EA handled that negative reaction to their first trailer was genuinely one of the strangest things I have ever seen a company do. People were annoyed about all sorts of things, but the biggest issue was the fact a woman with a claw hand was chosen to be the symbol for the game, and women on the front lines in general. Now surprisingly, everyone was actually really chill about this because after all, World War II was fought by mainly women with bionic hands. Just kidding, loads of people were pissed off as the game was being promoted as an authentic World War II experience. Now I can see why the developers wanted to include women for more customization options for players, I guess. Even though they didn't go about it the right way, like not even close, I can see why they wanted it. What followed though is where the proverbial shit hit the fan. I honestly sometimes thought the kind of things I was hearing that DICE and EA had said or done were fake news. Normally a company would just say something like this, even if they didn't mean it. Hi. We thank you for all your support and we appreciate the feedback. This is the direction we are taking Battlefield 5 and we will continue striving to include microtransactions, as I love getting multi-million-dollar bonuses so I can pay for expensive escorts, drugs, and overpriced Apple products. Okay, maybe not that last part, but no. A simple statement was not the tactic they went with. Instead, they started a real authentic World War II experience and they attacked the fans. There's all the classic lines they said, like when they called the fans uneducated and told them not to buy the game. But this sort of stuff went on for months and months. There was even a party after the game had launched where the developers put negative comments up on a screen, and it seemed like they were celebrating a triumph over the apparent misogynistic bigots or something. Like, I honestly could not believe what I was witnessing. They just kept pouring petrol on the fire. Apex Legends, for example, just released, and it was hugely popular, and there is only like 2 white males in the roster, and everyone else is a non-binary or a woman, and no one cares. It was always a historical thing with Battlefield 5. But whatever, I don't really care about this stuff. It's just I could see these developers who were trying to sell a damn game repetitively shooting themselves in the foot. It was so bizarre. You know how some celebrities like Kanye West always say dumb shit, so they employ someone to stop them saying dumb shit? DICE and EA need to hire someone like that. Honestly, I probably need to hire someone like that. I quickly need to take a break and give a shout out to this random legend I played with the other night. His gamer tag is Arse Chutney and he revived me a lot, and it just made me laugh reading his name every time. Anyway, so before the game was even released, people hated it. Definitely not everyone, don't get me wrong, the franchise still has a lot of support, but now the relatively minor issues the trailer had caused had been blown right up. The motherfucker fucking spiders had been thrown. I'm not sure if that metaphor is good enough to refer back to a second time, but if you don't like it, you're probably just a misogynistic bigot. So then came September and the open beta released, and players got to try some gameplay out and shoot some Nazis. But just kidding, there were no Nazis and no bullets. Battlefield 5 tried out a completely new system called attrition, where you couldn't hold much ammo and you didn't have much health. The idea was to promote teamwork, and it surprisingly worked incredibly well, as people would give each other ammo and health packs, and the battlefield was basically a big cake baked with love and happiness as everyone worked together as a team in perfect harmony. Just kidding again, everyone's a selfish malacca and none of that happened, you just basically never had enough bullets. I personally didn't like always running out of ammo, but DICE quickly said they would fix the issue, and after the beta my overall feeling was genuine excitement. I mean, there were definitely some big issues, but it was only a testing beta and I'm a huge Battlefield fan, so I was still excited. The game then launched, and this is obviously where I can't possibly speak for everyone. I've talked to some people who simply hate Battlefield 5 with a burning passion, and others who play every single night and fap to the cover art. In my own personal opinion, I think the game is pretty damn good, but is the gameplay as good as Battlefield 3 or 4? No way. Does it have a better atmosphere than Battlefield 1? No chance. So compared to the last few games, excluding Hardline, which is basically the stepchild no one loves, it has taken a few steps backwards, but again, this is just my humble opinion. Also, these older games have had years of downloadable content and patches. Anyway, my positive feeling about the game started to dwindle as the issues I thought would be fixed quickly were still there months after release. Like, I really love the gunplay, it feels crisp and tight, but at the same time, I have so much trouble seeing enemies, I sometimes feel like I need cataract surgery. If a player is lying down in some rough terrain, it's like they are wearing Harry Potter's bloody invisibility cloak. But at least it's not like players are incentivized to lay down all the time. For the 15th time this video, just kidding, there are loads of guns that have bipods that you can't even use properly unless you're laying down. Another thing I love about Battlefield 5 is playing with the lads. You know, that toxic masculinity goodness. I was working 2 jobs when the game launched, so on a Friday night, I couldn't wait to crack a cold one and play some games, but it would always crash for me. Like for 4 months, my game would crash after almost every round. I reinstalled it, I upgraded my console, I prayed to Buddha, but nothing would stop my game crashing, and so I simply started playing other games. Other things too though, like the fact I paid for a deluxe edition that was a complete ripoff, or the lack of promised content. Like, they advertised that we could drag wounded teammates to cover, but that never got added. The only thing I've been dragging is my balls across the enemy's face when I teabag them. I don't think I've ever wanted to love a game as much as this one. I wanted it to be the game I played all the time, and even though I would really enjoy it sometimes and could see the potential, as the months dragged on and nothing was fixed and no new content was added, I started to play it even less. It got to the point where none of my mates were playing it anymore, and yeah, I thought the developers would probably just give up and focus on the next game. Do you like the sad music I added in for this part? Great emotional YouTube content right here. But to my pleasant surprise, it doesn't seem like that's what's happening. I've actually been playing Battlefield 5 again a lot more recently, and it feels a hell of a lot better than it did a couple of months ago. My game almost never crashes anymore, and there's been patches to help improve issues like visibility. There's been 1 new map added in 6 months, which is actually pretty stingy compared to Battlefield 1's map releases, but my bad, we're in the happy ending part now. But really, it is refreshing to play at least 1 new map, and there's been promises of many more. And it looks like they are planning to head to the Pacific Theater at some point, which would be legendary. The game is basically just heading in a way more positive direction, and after all the BS, it's nice to see. It's like round 7 in a boxing match, and no one knows how this guy is still standing, and then all of a sudden he finds his feet and starts throwing punches back. The game is now trending upwards, but I wouldn't be surprised if the player base was trending downwards. They don't actually make the player count public anywhere, so no one except the developers knows it, which probably means everything is fine and there is like 5 million concurrent players, and they just don't want to flex on every other game developer, so they are keeping it hidden to be humble. But in seriousness, Battlefield 5 needs a huge win. The obvious one was to make their Battle Royale Firestorm mode free at launch, but for some strange reason they didn't do that. I wish I could have sat in on that pitch meeting. Hey boss, you know know how PUBG has an insanely passionate player base, and how Fortnite and Apex Legends managed to overtake it by making their game free, but they still made a lot of cash through cosmetic sales? Well, let's ignore all of that and make ours full price. It'll be awesome. I'm sure everyone will play it. Well, yeah, that went well. The most frustrating thing is Firestorm is so good. It's like my favorite battle royale out of all of them, but I've only got to play a handful of games down here in Australia as no one is playing it. Probably because everyone in Australia is so busy throwing spiders at smart, beautiful, thick women's faces. Throwing spiders is actually kind of a kinky, flirty cultural thing down here. Anyway, I think the next opportunity for them to bring in a whole lot of fresh new players and bring old players back is the new maps based on the Pacific Theatre. That's what people think of when they hear World War II. Also, whoever is doing the recent trailers for all the new content coming out needs a pay rise. But if I was in charge, I'd have Battlefield 5 be free for a week or at least a weekend or something when all this content launches to hook people in. It does beg questions though, like is all of this too late? Did the marketing campaign cause irreversible damage? I'm not sure, but even so, as a huge Battlefield fan, I'm just happy to at least see this game starting to fulfill its potential, and I look forward to playing all of the new maps. Wow, that was a slightly more serious video for a change. Did I even make any sexual references? I hope so. I'm streaming on Twitch now, and I sometimes play Battlefield 5 over there, so if that's up your alley, my Twitch is modest_pelican_gaming, and I'll link that below. I also often drink water on stream so we can all get hydrated together. It's unbelievably good content. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, you absolute legends. Before you go though, I thought it would be fun to prank fellow YouTuber Get Good Guy. I'll link a video of his in the pinned comment, and let's all go and comment on that video reminding him to stay hydrated so that he will be confused. And hopefully hydrated. He also does a lot of cool Battlefield content. Have yourselves a great week, and I'll see you on Thursday with a Grand Theft Auto video, or perhaps during the week on Twitch. Until next time, and as always, stay classy.